Oh, hi there, I'm Carly and welcome to The Last Grown Up in the Woods. So guess what, it's bear season. I'm going to be talking about which I think is better for bear defense, bear spray or firearms. This is sort of inspired by Survival Lily when she went to Vancouver Island and everybody was going crazy about the fact that she didn't have a gun, and everybody who was a fan of bear spray was going crazy over the fact that those people were going crazy. So I was hoping to present a somewhat more level-headed analysis of this and hopefully generate some good conversation and not people just being jerks to each other. Also, I am going to be announcing a giveaway in this video, so stick around. Okay, so I know I'm skipping all the important stuff, like all the proactive stuff, like making noise and being aware and keeping your camp safe, and what do you do when you do see a bear, and how to avoid the attack in the first place. So yes, I'm skipping all of that. So I'm going to say right off the bat that I am not a very good markswoman, so I don't carry a gun in the wilderness because it would probably be more of a hazard to me than protection. I'm not here to hate on guns. I had carried firearms for bear defense in the backcountry, but I do want to talk about how this can be a very useful tool, and just talk about why you should trust this. A lot of the people that insist on guns that I've talked to just don't feel like this is proper protection. It feels too light and flimsy, and like it's just not enough. And I get that. I have been approached by an aggressive grizzly, and all I had was this. And let me tell you, standing there saying, "Hey bear, whoa bear," was not comfortable. I felt naked. I felt like I really wished I had a shotgun in my hands. So yes, I get it. I know where you're coming from. So let me present my argument for bear spray, and maybe one or two arguments for guns. Okay, so the first one is I want to talk about is probably the most important, and that is the effectiveness. In 2008, two well-known bear biologists, Stephen Herrero and Tom Smith, published a paper about how effective bear spray was. And they looked at over 600 bear encounters of black bears and grizzly bears. 72 of those bears were sprayed with bear spray, and of those 72, 92% of them were deterred by this bear spray. 4 years later, 2012, they did a similar study on guns. Now, they took 269 bear encounters involving guns from Alaska, and I think they went from like the late 1800s to fairly recently, and they looked at how well those were deterred. Because the study techniques were fairly different and their data sets were different, it's hard to compare. So a lot of folks who really support bear spray will say that study showed that firearms only had around a 50 to 60% effectiveness, but I'm not actually sure that I agree with that, because about 20% of people in that study chose not to shoot their guns. So when we remove those people from the data, then we end up with firearms being about 70% effective, which isn't bad, but not as good as 92. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Which one is easier to use and which one is faster to draw? So lousy markswoman here, let's flip back.
Push it.
Okay, now compare it to this. Let's take another look at that, shall we? But I'm good with guns, you say? Okay, but have you been shooting when a bear's charging you? Back in my park ranger days, we had to do this test where a truck would haul a plywood grizzly on wheels towards you, and you had to shoot it. And I failed that consistently every year. And that bear was just plywood. Next factor, unnecessary killings. This won't kill a bear. Even if it's just getting too close and it's curious, you can give it a spray, and then it'll know to be scared of people. Factor number 4, human safety. So I have a cousin in Florida, and she went horseback riding with the fellow who brought his handgun along to protect him from the panther, all 6 of them, or however many there are now. So he threw that handgun in his fanny pack. He threw some extra ammo in there so he could shoot the other 5 Florida panthers, and off he went on his horseback ride. So to make things fun, I guess there was a live round in the chamber. One of his spare bullets got stuck in the trigger, and the gun went off and he shot himself in the hand or the foot or some extremity. And I know that's not the average gun owner, and I know that people who are serious about guns are generally really safe with them. There's possibilities of something going wrong. Or what about a bear mauling your friend? Are you going to shoot that bear and risk hitting your friend? Or are you going to spray it with bear spray and certainly spray your friend too, but I think they'll forgive you. Number 5, the law. In BC parks, it's illegal to be carrying a firearm unless you are legally hunting. I know that a number of state parks don't allow firearms. A few of the U.S. national parks don't allow them. Most of the Canadian national parks don't allow them, and wherever else. Bear spray is your only option in those places. Wait! This one. Especially if you want to carry a gun that's going to actually have some impact on a grizzly. Grizzlies are known for taking quite a while to realize they're dead. Even if you pump its heart and lungs full of lead, you still will have a good 20 seconds before it realizes it's dead. And that's enough time for it to do some pretty serious damage to you. And number 7 is the argument for guns, and that is wind and range. A bear spray range is no more than about 6 meters, and you're going to want to shorten that to be extra safe. But then again, if you're using it for defense, you don't really want to shoot a bear too far away from you. I mean, the other thing is wind. In that study, including 72 people who'd sprayed bears with bear spray, 5 of them reported interference from wind, and in all the cases, the bear spray still hit the target. It's just something you have to adjust for, and if you're shooting into the wind, I guess you have to be prepared to probably get a little bit yourself. Okay, so what if you're hunting? You've already got your gun in your hand, bear comes out of nowhere, all you gotta do is chamber around and shoot it, probably faster than putting down your gun and getting out your bear spray. True, as long as you have enough power, because if you shoot a grizzly with birdshot, the only advantage you'll have is that it will might take a moment to stop and laugh at you before it rips your face off. So here's what I really want to drive home in this argument. If you bring a firearm into the woods for bear defense, know your firearm and know bears really well. And you know what? This is light. You might as well bring it as a backup. If you're not that comfortable with a gun, or you're going somewhere where you're not allowed firearms, or you don't want to be carrying the firearm around, then bear spray is perfectly adequate. It's good protection. And it's starting to rain. I'm going inside it. I'm going to tell you about the giveaway. So I am aware that I've skipped a whole bunch of bear safety stuff, especially the proactive stuff, the stuff that's going to stop you from having a bear encounter in the first place, which is why I'm doing a giveaway. So if you watched my Rainbow Range video, you would have seen me using my Ursack, which is a bear-resistant sack. A whole lot lighter than a canister, a whole lot easier to pack. So if you camp in bear country, this is fantastic. I bought it because we camp in the Alpine quite a bit, and there's nothing to hang food from. But now I just take it on every camping trip, because why wouldn't I? Even if I do a bear hang, it's just an extra added level of security. So Ursack has generously offered their S29 Allwhite. It's the similar to this, but a little bit smaller. I should add that it's a cosmetic second, which means it's not quite as pretty as the rest of them, but it's probably prettier than this one because I've gotten it covered in dirt. And I will also throw in a giraffe multifunctional headwear with my logo on it. It's essentially a buff. So to enter this contest, all you have to say is "I'm in" the comments. If you want additional entries, you can have one for any share on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And if you want 5 extra entries, then you can do a video response. So in this video response, I want to hear about how you protect your camp or yourself from bears or other predators or even any other critters when you're traveling and camping in the backcountry. So I have a link below in the description where you can put in the URLs for the shares that you do to get you the entries automatically. If you do a video response, make sure that you also put a link in the comments just to make sure that I see it. And if you live in a part of the world where there's no bears and you don't feel like you'll ever be camping in a place where there's bears, then I will give away a second one of these. Just say "I'm in for the giraffe" in the comments or something like that. So you have until May 31st to get this video response done. And that's it. See you next week-ish.